Know what I didn't watch last week? The State of the Union address and the Grammys. But Zoe, don't you have to watch this stuff to know what's going on with politics and the culture? Well, let me guess what I missed. Nancy Pelosi twerked in front of Joe Biden's face while Jay-Z rapped about how minimum wage should be raised over a loop sample of Obama blaming Republicans and promoting class warfare, with Republicans standing up, swaying their arms back and forth to the beat of an amnesty bill. Then for the grand finale, Queen Latifah married a bunch of people, including same-sex couples, to hopefully divorce people's attention from the scandals of the Obama administration, from the IRS to Benghazi, which later Hillary will be nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Dramatic Actor. Is that some of what I missed?
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
Remember the good old days when musicians at least thought they were against the establishment? Now, more than ever, entertainers express themselves politically to show that they're not shallow or hollow, and the country's getting worse for it. Liberal entertainers are sold out on the idea that promoting bigger and more involved government equals being enlightened. Entertainers want to be seen as enlightened and compassionate, not stuck up and clueless. But they still can't get past the fact that they want to be seen as better people. So, cluelessly, they try to make themselves champions for a more involved and compassionate government, not even realizing that they are the tools for building tyranny in America. And the only time they see the government as overstepping is when the government does what it's actually supposed to do: protect the balance of freedom. I'll reiterate an example. Liberals think that freedom is having an abortion, but they don't care about the balance to that. The child has the right to live and is also in the equation of equal rights. But when you point that out to a liberal, they just accuse you of infringing on their rights because they are painfully selfish and self-righteous people who do not care about the balance of freedom. They do not care about the cost that is forced onto someone else. They don't care that minimum wage hikes hurt the small businesses they claim to care so much about. And they don't care that the minimum wage hikes up the cost of living. And people are back to square one thinking that the minimum wage needs to be raised. But they don't care. They think the CEOs can afford it and should part with all their money and pay their employees more. See, these geniuses think that CEOs like at McDonald's only have employees that work at McDonald's, and that's the only people that they have to pay. So they shouldn't be buying themselves 5 houses and shouldn't have a boat and shouldn't have fancy cars. But it takes employees to build a house. That's a job offered to contractors, which gives people an opportunity to make money. So I guess that greedy CEO isn't just sitting on that money, being stingy and withholding it from his McDonald's employees. He's using the money he makes from his business to give others a chance to make money, like groundskeepers for his multiple estates. He's got jobs for them. What do you have for people except a chip that you're trying to get them to wear on their shoulder? Oh no, the CEO bought a fancy new car. Oh, you mean a car that he bought from a car dealer that helps them to stay in business so they can pay their employees? Oh my God, he even has a driver who now has an opportunity to earn an income. Oh no, the CEO bought himself a yacht. How dare he buy that and give other people an opportunity to have a job, like maintenance to keep his yacht running. Oh my God, the CEO went and bought himself his own private jet. How dare he do that and give somebody an opportunity to be employed as a pilot, you know, one of those skilled jobs. And a flight crew, and a maintenance crew, and people who have a job to do at the FBO. See all the jobs that the greedy CEO is helping to pay for? No, of course you don't. You're too busy judging them because you're too shallow and narrow-minded to look no further than the McDonald's employee. And you use the McDonald's employee to try to make yourself look like you're morally superior. And your moral superiority is making it harder for Americans to make ends meet. So why don't you stick a Big Mac in your big mouth and shut up? Because you're only making it harder for people. Oh, I forgot. You would never eat at McDonald's because their food is poisonous. Yet you want people to get paid more to work there. Stop being selfish and greedy, demanding that a job pay you more for doing a job that's not a specialized skill. That job is not meant to support your family. You don't hold a job responsible for how many kids you have. A job is not supposed to pay you according to how many kids you have. So when Obama is giving his State of the Union address, it's more the same crap like that. All rooted in justifying the institution of covetousness and the policy of what comes at the forced expense of someone else, as Obama blows his nose with the Constitution, asserting himself as above the law. And Democrats have a media machine of newscasters, musicians, comedians, storytellers, producers, and directors to help illustrate how Democrats are the heroes and Republicans are the zeros. And they're gonna keep doing it. And before the people can get sick of it, there's gonna be a fresh new generation for them to prey on. They've been doing it for decades, and they're always pushing the limits of how they can make an impression on people. You cannot stop them, and you're not supposed to. What you're supposed to do is compete with them, and you're not. The extent of your competition is when it comes to electing a politician, and even then, you're too often sending a candidate that was doomed to lose. Republicans are obsessed with the instant gratification of a political victory, which is a sandcastle built close to the tide. Cultural victory is the more solid ground to build on. See, a lot of y'all get it. Too many of you don't. They're dismissive of the arts and artists, yet go gaga the second a liberal actor says something slightly conservative, when just before that, conservatives were saying, who cares what these people think? People do care what entertainers think. Even you. So instead of settling for liberal entertainers throwing you a scrap of conservatism, why don't you support the real thing? Do you know what an entertainer's job is? An entertainer's job is basically to solicit your attention for whatever purpose. And liberal entertainers, to a great degree, have captured the imaginations of people. And that includes turning people's imaginations against you. What are you gonna do about it? Well, I am what I am and I ain't changed for nobody. This ain't about you changing who you are. It's about changing people's perception of who you are. You go to tea parties, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. But the perception of you is that when you attend a tea party, you're attending a Klan rally. You have to change that perception of you. It doesn't matter if you didn't do anything to make people believe that to begin with. It's not a fireman's fault that somebody set fire to their house. They still gotta put it out. You wanna get the country back on the right track? You gotta change people's perception of you. If the Democrats, the party that founded the KKK, can change people's perception of them to see them as the champion of civil rights, then surely the Republicans can do something about how you're perceived. You want to protect the equal rights of the unborn. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But the perception of you is that you've engaged in a war on women. You have to change how you're perceived. You own a business, and you feel that the government should not be claiming your income or capital, so you can have more money to put into your business and into the economy. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But the perception of you is that you're greedy, capitalism is evil, and you just want people to be homeless and starve to death. You understand that your right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But the perception of you is that you right-wingers are a mass murderer waiting to happen. Meanwhile, all the gun violence is practically always carried out by left-wingers, socialists, communists, Democrats, and people living in Democrat-run areas. Anyway, that's why I keep urging conservatives to help promote my band. But too many conservatives don't get it. They don't see the importance of supporting that loud music. Liberals use things like that loud music with a message that polluted the perspective of a lot of people. Why not help support projects like mine to help clear up some things with a sound that a lot of people already relate to? God, Zoe, you act like the Republican Party is dependent on your band for salvation. Hell no. We're just a piece of the puzzle. But if you're dismissive of the small pieces, what makes you think you can handle the big ones? This isn't about the promotion of my band. This is about the delivery and the connection of our values. My band is just one of the different means to deliver the message. But if you don't support the delivery service that's trying to get our shared message out there, then don't complain saying we're not getting our message out there. And I'm telling you, one of the biggest obstacles of getting the message through to people is their perception of you, Or would you rather there be more mind-rotting music being twerked out of Beyonce's and Miley Cyrus's butt? What you have to do is offer something more interesting. And I know a nice round bouncy booty is hard to compete with, but it's not impossible. Some of y'all are saying, well, we don't like that hard rock music. It ain't about what you like. You already get conservatism, but you need to try to connect it with those who don't and edify them and hopefully change their perception. It's kind of hard to see conservatives as only a bunch of stuffy old white males when there's 4 conservative younger black dudes throwing down some grizzly rock tracks. There's nothing wrong with being older or white, but the perception of you is that you're a racist and you don't care about the poor. Some liberals are gonna say you're just trying to show off your token black guys, which is an opportunity for you to say you're mad and you try to act like it's some great injustice because you claim there's no blacks in the Republican Party, and then when you see that there are conservative blacks, you're still mad. The one who won't let racism go is you race baiter. Some of your friends or family may say, you like that hard rock music? And if you don't, you can be honest and say, no, I'm not a fan of rock music. But I know rock music is really popular and influential in the culture, and if youngsters are going to be influenced by rock music, I'd want them to know about these guys. Sorry to harp on this stuff all the time, y'all, but I'm trying to help you understand the reason why you're not succeeding in stopping what's happening to the country. And a big part of it is because of people's perception of you and your values. And they're out there telling stories and they're out there writing songs that bolster prejudice against you while making their way out to be the way things were meant to be. So when people ask me about the State of the Union address, I'm like, I already know what the address is going to be. And I know every time he does one, the message is going to be the same or worse. And my band rehearses on Tuesday nights anyway. But too many people bought it. And even though a lot of people are disappointed with Obama, many haven't changed their worldview, and they've not changed their perception of you. And they're just gonna find another representative to repackage their same old plan. Now don't get me wrong, some are getting it. People woke up after Carter, but getting it and keeping it are 2 totally different things. We had it with Reagan, and then we lost it. And a big part of why we lost it was because the conservatives dropped the ball while the liberals were influencing people's perception of you and what you believe. But this feeling of finding victory in the failures of others ain't gonna cut it. Too many Republicans want to treat the culture like a rebound relationship. Y'all are acting like that creepy dude who's waiting for the girl you like to get done dirty by the dude she's with. So she'll be brokenhearted and vulnerable, and you'll have a chance to get with her because she's realized what a fool she's been. Everybody knows rebound relationships are generally a bad idea. Not enough of them have worked out to prove that they're a good idea. The same thing goes for politics. The establishment and the moderate Republicans are trying to change people's perception of them by acting like Democrats. Also a bad idea. We can actually change people's perception of us without ceasing to be conservatives. Liberals have used entertainment, from comedy to music, to promote a lie to create a favorable perception of them and a negative perception of you. And it's worked for them. Why don't you use these things to promote the truth? If you start supporting more of that, then in the future, you'll hear the State of the Union address given by someone more friendly to the Constitution. I see the power of music and storytelling. Liberals have been using it successfully to strip the country away from you. You're trying to change things through politics. It doesn't work that way. You have to make changes culturally. When you're looking at your computer screen and it crashes, you're pretty much going to be wasting your time trying to fix the monitor. The monitor is just a representative of what's going on in the computer. Well, Washington is just a representation of what's going wrong in the culture. If you want to fix the representation, you got to do repairs in the culture. Lastly, listen, I want our God-given rights protected. I see what happens when liberals take liberties with the Constitution, and it costs more than it pays. And even for me, it's hard to relay this message, because when those who aren't in our tent hear these principles that have nothing to do with color, they often associate them with the negative perception they have of you, which makes it harder to get people interested in that America I'd like to enjoy, as I'm sure you would too. I'm Alfonso Rachel with Zonation, and if you understand what I'm saying, then please go to my band's Facebook page and click like. It won't cost you a dime, just a moment of your time. Remember, y'all, this ain't about promoting my band. It's about promoting the message. This ain't about changing who you are or your values. It's about changing the perception people have of you and your values. We make a good impression on our own with secularists and liberals. We get invited to play more secular venues than we do in churches that even showcase rock bands for their youth ministries and outreaches. Often at our shows, we get those crazy kids saying, "I caught some of your lyrics. I like what you guys have to say." Just imagine if we had more of your support to help work on people's perceptions. The reason why I'm urging you who haven't connected with us is because we're already kind of relatable to the people you're saying need to be reached with the message. We're offering ourselves as a bridge for you between you and the people who don't relate to you. Remember, they're not interested in your values because they think you're corny, stuffy, racist, out-of-touch fuddy-duddies who don't care about the poor. You're not going to change this perception of you in one stroke. It's going to take a process. We're not the answer to what's going to make conservatism a success in the culture. We're a step. Start taking steps. Nice round bouncy booty.